And, well, I'm going to skip this one. Just to mention that there are many different mathematical ways to measure this distance in spaces. The most common one is the so-called cosine. I'm not going into details, but it just allows you to measure this type of distance and to compare the distance between two words in a space. So you can see that we just put words in space, and we just locate the words in a space depending on the way they distribute in text. Okay, before going to use this kind of text on Giordano Bruno, how do we use this text? This is another important issue because it comes back to what computational linguistics can do nowadays. Well, typically distributional methods are applied to the raw text. So basically, they don't do any, or we can even not do. We can eventually skip any type of linguistic analysis. Okay. So in these cases, for instance, the singular furore and the plural furori will be represented as two distinct vectors, two rows in our matrix. Well, the pros of this, simplicity. We just take a text, we download it from the web or from Google Book, and we just run our experiments, that's done. Well, the cons, especially when we work on Italian, but this of course applies to other languages as well, but in Italian or in richly inflected languages like Italian, this is particularly problematic. We lose generalization because we cannot recognize that furore and furori are just two instances of the same word, basically. So actually, more accurate semantic maps and semantic analysis can be done if we take the text, we pre-process this text with computational linguistic tools, and then we apply the statistical measures and the statistical analysis on this pre-processed text. And this is exactly what we did. Well, remember that the Eroici Furori is a text from the second half of 16th century with lots of Latin part in it. Well, basically, we used a part-of-speech tagger trained on contemporary standard Italian. We don't have a part-of-speech tagger for 16th century Italian, but we do have a part-of-speech tagger for contemporary Italian. And it works pretty well, basically, because most of the morphosyntactic structure of Italian has remained more or less the same. Of course, the major problem is the lexicon. There were lots of gaps in the lexicon, many different terms, many variations. So that's why we performed the part-of-speech tagging automatically, and then we revised the text manually. But of course, having used a tool before, this allow us to save a lot of time. And so we applied basically our distributional method on this lemmatized text, and I will show you some result. So, before showing you the details, how do we evaluate the model? Well, of course, we wanted to see if some of the associations produced by this semantic method made sense for philosophers, in a way. Okay, it was just random associations, were just linguistic associations, or something that was connected to the semantic organization of the text. So basically, what our philosopher friends did was to choose 4 top conceptual categories: amore e libertà, amore e facoltà, intelletto e vicissitudine, and we took some terms from these classes. Okay, so we wanted to explore what happened with words belonging to these classes. And then we asked our distributional model to give us the closest words in its semantic space to these words that were selected by the philosophers. I'm not going to show you all of these, but I'm going to show some examples. Okay, these are some of the results produced by the model with 3 terms: intelletto, verità, e infinito. Okay? Notice how can read this list. Well, notice the first word is the target, and then the words are ordered for decreasing cosine. This means that the closer is the word to the top, the more similar has been regarded by the system to the target word. Okay. You can see that these words give you a kind of chain of semantic similar term, of distributional similar term to the target one. Interesting notice which are, well, I have underlined what were regarded the good hits. I mean, right associations, while other can be regarded as kind of noise produced by the system. Well, you see, intelletto as it's among its closest associate, intellegibile, sensibile, multivario, multiforme, and so on. Looking at verità, apollineo, that's the way the truth was described by the philosopher. But also interesting, look at the words inaccessibile, something that cannot be accessed, inobjettabile, something that cannot be objected, infallibile, infallible, and so on. Okay. And then these are the closest words, the most similar words to the term infinito, produced by the system. Okay. Notice that, no, I'm going to scope, notice that this type of method is able to identify different type of association, or semantic association between words. Some of them are truly or quasi-synonyms, like contrari e contrarietade. Others are antonyms, like vita and morte. Others cohyponyms, like intelletto e ragione. They all belong to the same faculties, or to the same mind faculties. Others are more loose semantic associations, like filosofia e ingegno, or furioso and furore. An interesting thing is if we compare also, this is the raw text, but I'm not going to discuss in details this issue, but only I would like to call your attention to the association, to the words that have been associated with caccia. Notice that we found caccia, cacciatore, selva, gemito, predare, venazione, abbattere. They are all terms belonging to the semantic domain of hunting. But then we found sapienza. Okay. Now, it seems to be a mistake by the system, but actually, as I told you before, is something which is typically related to the use of the myth of the hunting in the text. The myth of the hunting is the myth of the search for. And actually, what Etion, which is Diana, which is the goddess involved in this myth, is the personification, the allegory of the wisdom, and Etion is looking for wisdom. So the search and the hunting is concerned with wisdom. Okay, now what I've done, what we did was also to say, okay, let's try to see if we, what it happens when we took some of these words and we project on a plane to see which are the words which are more similar to others. In order, is it possible to take the output of these tools and to reconstruct really a kind of map of this, of the semantic relation between the words? What we did was to use a technique which is called self-organizing maps, which is a way to project on a plane the similarity relation between a certain number of data. And what we said, okay, we took a set of these words and we wanted to see whether this map, how the similarity relations are projected on a plane. And the idea is that this system should give us the closer, the most, let's say, the words that are more similar together or close in the space, in the plane, and the more different words, on the other hand, at the more distant in the plane.